Imagine being so rich you can buy an entire warehouse of hats, but instead you decide to steal one from a kid at the US Open like it's Black Friday at Walmart. You could file all the lawsuits you want, but the court that actually matters has already found you guilty of being a bitch.
Delete your comments within 3 days. Submit a public apology and pay us 10,000 K, which roughly translates to 27,000 US dollars within 7 days.
In the event that he is actually telling the truth here, I want to make sure that any and all misinformation is clarified here.
15 seconds and the internet detonates. A CEO snatches a signed cap right in front of a kid on broadcast cameras inside a roaring US Open crowd. Feeds spike, stitches multiply, and a random spectator becomes the story of the tournament. This breakdown is built on widely shared footage and mainstream reporting, but the tape is the star. No soft focus, no hedging. Let's run it back.
This man literally snatched a signed hat from a kid at the US Open. Yes, you're seeing that correctly. The internet was furious, and then people discovered that he wasn't just a regular fan.
Match over, adrenaline high, Kamil Majchrzak heads to the rail for that classic fan moment, handing a kid a signed cap. You see the boy's hands rise. Then a man steps in, takes the hat, turns away, and keeps walking. The crowd's noise flips from celebration to confusion. This isn't a fumble or a misunderstanding on the replay. To many viewers, it looks intentional, and the kid's face tells you everything.
Why does it seem whenever a CEO does something stupid in public, when faced with well-deserved backlash, they can't help but double down?
People quickly identified him, and allegedly he's a Polish millionaire CEO. And quickly, the internet gave him the title of being one of the most hated men on the internet right now.
The clip goes thermonuclear. Freeze frames, zooms, slow-mo with red circles. Everyone's a referee. The phrase, "give the kid his hat," starts trending. Meme accounts add dramatic choir music, and even people who don't watch tennis have an opinion. It's simple human math. Adult takes kid's moment equals instant outrage. That equation always balances, fast. And the algorithm? It loves a clean hero-villain storyline. The internet does what it does best, identify. The man is widely identified as Polish executive Piotr Szczerek of paving company Drogbruk. Major outlets run it, the narrative locks in. And once a story calcifies at viral speed, good luck chiseling it back down. The clip is unforgettable, the name sticks, and the world moves from what happened to what happens to him. That pivot is where reputations get rewritten.
CEO apologizes after his company was review bombed for stealing hat from boy at US Open.
And now this guy's really out here giving TED Talks on first come, first serve. Bro, you're a millionaire CEO, not a kid in the lunch line fighting over the last chicken nugget.
Cesarek explained he believed Majchrzak was handing him the cap for his sons, who had asked for autographs, and said he instinctively reached out to grab it.
Now the part that stings. The kid, commonly referred to as Brock in coverage. Arm out, eyes up, ready to brag for a decade. Then gone. Sports are rituals. Tossed towels, signed balls, little gestures that mint lifetime fans. When an adult breaks that ritual, it feels like a social contract gets ripped in public. That's why this one traveled. It's not about tennis, it's about fairness, and fairness always trends. Cue the statement. The CEO posts an apology calling it a huge mistake, saying he thought the cap was being handed toward his sons and that the hat was returned. Some commenters appreciate the speed. Most aren't buying it. The internet's verdict? The optics are awful. The explanation reads thin, and that's the consequence of doing something on camera. You don't get edits. In a world of receipts, "I didn't mean it" lands light.
Thankfully, the story does have a happy ending. The player Kamil saw this viral video and was determined to find this boy. They actually found each other and he got his signed hat.
Meanwhile, screenshots fly, cocky one-liners, first come, first served vibes, the usual viral accelerant. Some look real, some look like junk. Here's the simple rule. The only piece of evidence that matters is the video we all watched. Everything else is noise. Loud, messy, sometimes misleading. The tape isn't. And when the tape looks bad, the audience rarely rewrites the script. Enter Majchrzak with the cleanup. He finds Brock, hands over a fresh signed cap, and throws in extra merch. Photos circulate. The energy flips from gross to good. It's sportsmanship 101. Restore the moment, then raise it. For the kid, that's the memory now. Not the snatch, but the fix. For the player, it's class under pressure. For viewers, the loop closes at least a little, and the villain score drops a notch.
Now, the reason I'm getting into details about this update here is because I guess his initial statements that we thought he made were not made by him. Because at the end of the day, it's much better to expose someone for being a scumbag with facts and truths rather than with lies and misinformation. But it's a completely different thing when it comes to walking the walk. You can lie and tell bullshit stories through words, but your actions are what's going to tell the truth at the end of the day.
Brand blowback lands like a hammer. Drogbrook's pages get torched. Angry reviews, comments, boycott hashtags. Collateral damage hits similarly named companies that had nothing to do with it. That's the shrapnel of virality. Wide blast radius, sloppy targeting, real-world pain for bystanders. The sledgehammer always swings wider than intended, and cleanup crews never move as fast as the mob. The sports world piles on. Ex-pros, commentators, creators, late-night bits. Reaction clips flood timelines. Memes compare the grab to notorious fan fails. Day 1 fury, Day 2 think pieces, Day 3 parodies, the Outrage life cycle. But this one sticks because it pokes the same nerve every time. Don't take a kid's moment. That rule isn't written on any ticket, it's written in us. Break it and the internet unites like a hive.
But then he follows up with the dumbest, most sensitive thing ever, saying in Polish, insulting a public person is subject to legal liability. Offensive insinuations will be examined and possibly referred to court. And then there was this other Polish response, allegedly from an attorney, bringing up all his long-winded lawyer speak, demanding everybody immediately stop violating their personal rights to make amends for moral harm and image losses. Or else we're taking you to court. We've already saved your comments.
Let's zoom into the arena mechanics. Athletes finish a match with adrenaline spiking. Security forms a soft corridor. Players scan for kids, tiny jerseys, outstretched hands, that shy half smile. They look for that eye contact that says, "Me? Really?" It's a silent ritual and a careful one. When an adult leans over the rail to intercept, the whole thing collapses. Stadium etiquette isn't a law, it's culture, and culture enforces itself with cameras. Crisis PR Autopsy, Part 1. The apology. Speed matters, he didn't wait weeks. Specifics matter, he said huge mistake, and that the hat was returned. Tone matters most. The internet wanted humility and generosity, not rationalizations. Crisis PR Autopsy, Part 2. The make good. The player did it. The CEO could have doubled down on repair. Public donation to youth tennis, scholarship seats, something visible. Instead, the vacuum let the meme breathe.
Imagine standing in court like, Your Honor, they're calling me a bitch for stealing a kid's hat. Dude, that's not defamation. That would just be a live recap of what actually happened. And the jury would probably roast you harder than Twitter did.
Now, the algorithm piece. Clips like this explode because they're instantly legible. A clear beginning, the approach, a shock beat, the grab, a reaction, the crowd, and a consequence, the outrage. That's narrative gold for recommendation systems. Short, emotional, shareable. Add a child to the equation and engagement doubles. The story writes itself and the audience writes the ending. About the lawsuits in your title. Lawyers get looped, messages get sent, warnings fly, creators start checking captions twice. Legal heat is part of the modern playbook. If a filing drops, it becomes a new chapter. Until then, it's pressure, posture, and a lot of inbox pinging. Either way, the vibe is clear. This went way past a simple comment section flaming. When brands feel a dent, law firms feel a buzz.
They literally couldn't have crafted a worse response to the theft of a hat, but somehow these CEOs just aren't used to being treated like the scumbags that they are. And I don't know anything about Polish law, but American law says I can call that CEO a bitch.
The personal cost is quieter but real. Every time the CEO's name trends, this clip rides shotgun. Every search result drags the same 15 seconds back to the top. That's the afterlife of a viral mistake. Business calls begin with "about the hat," conference invites decline. Partners ask questions. You don't just return a cap, you spend months returning trust. Status check. The clip still anchors US Open recap reels. Brock got his keepsake, plus extras. The CEO apologized and says the cap was returned. The company ate a bruising PR week. No official tournament ban is confirmed, and as of September 8th, 2025, there are no widely reported verified lawsuit filings tied directly to the grab. That's the ledger for now. Public memory, though, likes to keep accounts open.
Here's the twist, that viral apology wasn't real, it wasn't from him. Actual CEO came forward with a different apology that was actually in Polish, said he made a huge mistake and the hat was ultimately given to the boy. He admitted it was a painful lesson in humility, confirmed that all those bizarre statements floating around weren't him.
Let's talk ethics versus optics. Ethics says if something is meant for a child, you step aside. Optics says if you ignore that rule in front of a broadcast camera, your explanation won't matter. Social media doesn't measure intentions, it measures images. And the image here, adult hand, kids open palms, disappearing cap, is PR poison. You can speak paragraphs. The frame speaks faster. Fans, a quick code of conduct. If a player makes eye contact with a child, it's their moment. Adults can clap, point the kid forward, help them reach. That's the good kind of viral, strangers amplifying kindness. The wrong kind of viral is obvious now. Competitive souvenir hunting. You win in the moment and lose for months. Ask anyone who's been memed. The internet rarely grants retrials. Final reflections. This story stuck because it's bigger than a hat. It's about power and restraint, ego and impulse, and how quickly a small decision can rewrite a life when a lens is nearby. One man reached. One kid flinched. A player fixed what he could. A brand paid a price. And the rest of us got a reminder that the shortest path to public shame is a selfish move in a generous space. In a stadium of 20,000 and a planet of 2 billion screens, someone is always recording. If you want a souvenir, hit the merch stand. If a kid is waiting at the rail, step aside and be the hero in silence. Because the difference between a wholesome highlight and a public nightmare is one reach of a hand and one camera angle. Remember the rule, pass it on, and let the next kid win. Subscribe to HushBuzzz for sharp, fast, drama-packed breakdowns every day. Tap that button and stay locked in.